9 Years of Shadows is the new debut game of developer Halberd Studios. 9 Years of Shadows is a gorgeous 2D action Metroidvania. The game's art style is, simply put, beautiful. The various areas in this game are incredibly detailed, but never to the point of being completely distracting. Your player character, Europa herself, is extremely well detailed and animated as well, especially with the various different armors and forms that she can unlock. The game's art style itself seems inspired by classic anime such as Sailor Moon and Saint Seiya. The various armor forms you get definitely reminds me of Saint Seiya. In my opinion, the only real thing that detracts from the art style is the fact that outlines are basically everywhere in this game. Outlines around enemies and yourself denotes what element they are, allowing you to effectively do more damage or perhaps bypass defenses. The outlines are quite useful, but I think they're a bit too prominent. I do think they detract a bit from the art style. Maybe have it as like an accessibility feature. That way players that do need the outlines can have them enabled. Now let's talk soundtrack. The game's soundtrack is one of the best I've ever heard. The game's soundtrack is primarily composed by Miguel Hassan, and he did a great job with the tracks. The developers also managed to get 2 legendary composers as guest composers for the game as well. Michiru Yamane, known for her Castlevania pieces, and Norihiko Hibino, known for his work with the Metal Gear Solid series. While the soundtrack itself isn't really something I'd call listening music, as in listening outside of the game, it really does set the tone for the game quite well. Different environments have their own music. Let's move on to gameplay now. The combat itself is pretty simple. You have a multi-hit combo, and you have a heavy attack. You also have your ally, Apino, who can shoot various different projectiles. It's simple yet exhilarating. Though most of the game's innovation is not within the combat itself, but rather traversal. It does fall fairly similarly in the trappings of most Metroidvanias. Europa can access 4 different armors, or forms, one corresponding to each element. These armors also have unique upgrades for them as well, one of my favorites being the Siren form for the Poseidon armor. An upgrade that lets you transform into a mermaid, a form that lets you swim freely and go up waterfalls. The actual platforming feels extremely fluid. The game also automatically changes forms when necessary. This saves you a couple of headaches trying to switch to the proper form. Not to mention, this allows for fluid transitioning between different modes of transportation. Honestly, the gameplay itself is a solid 10 out of 10. The game itself does seem to have some bugs here and there. That said, I'm currently suffering from a bug where it prevents me from being able to open a certain boss door. The entire game just crashes if I do. I did report it to the developers. This is somewhat unfortunate because I was really excited to jump back into playing this game after he fixed up some of the other bugs, but now I literally cannot progress. I will have to revisit this game. Once the game's proven to be stable and all the bugs fixed, this is a must-buy for any Metroidvania fan. If you liked this video, you should give it a thumbs up and spread the good gospel of high-tech lowlife. And if you want to see more high-tech lowlife, be sure to enable notifications and press the subscribe button. Furthermore, we have a community Discord server for enlightened individuals such as you. And in case you wanted to directly support high-tech lowlife, you can join our Patreon page.